What's up guys, my name's Pete.
And I'm Michelle.
And together we own a small business, Fuentes Photo and Film. We finally put up our website. As you see, Michelle is back.
Woo-hoo. It took me a really long time to make that website, but it was totally worth it. We specialize in destination weddings and elopements, and we're based in Miami, Florida.
Today we're going to talk about how we pack for destination weddings as photographers.
But before we get started, make sure to subscribe and make sure to smash that like button. Also, if you're looking for a new way to deliver your work to your clients, make sure to check out Pic-Time. I actually have a code in the description below. It'll save you a little bit of money.
All right, so let's get started with the video.
So first we're gonna start with all the items that we bring with us on destination weddings. When we're flying to destinations, we don't wanna bring everything we own. So we only bring the most important things, and we're just gonna list them all out here.
So the primary things we have obviously are our cameras. We bring two A7 IIIs and an A7 R3.
We always like to bring one camera as a backup, so we always bring three cameras even when we do destination weddings, because you never know what can happen.
Exactly. So I'll have an A7 III, she'll have an A7 III, and then we'll have that A7 R3 as a little backup camera. And you might be wondering why it's weird, why we have a A7 R3. The reason is because we like to use that camera for shots that the couples are more likely to print out. So like shots of very important moments, that's when we'll actually end up using the A7 R3.
Or like for the family pictures, people always print out those family portraits or their couples portraits. We like to use that camera. Next up is lenses. We bring 4 lenses. Yeah,
so one of the main lenses we carry, one of our favorite lenses, the one we're shooting with right now, is the Tamron 28-75 f2.8. It's got a great range, it's very light, and it hasn't failed us at all yet. So that's definitely one of our primary cameras that we love to carry. The other camera that we carry is another Tamron, and it's the 70-180, and that's the one that we like to use during the ceremony to stay back. Like I've always said in my other videos, I don't like to be too intrusive, I don't like to be in the couple's faces, I like to stay back, and that's where that 180 is gonna really come in handy.
Yeah, I use it, I love it for receptions, for the dance floor, and I love it for ceremonies. Those are the two times I use it during a wedding.
And guys, another lens we love, the third lens on our list, is going to be the Sony 85mm 1.8. We absolutely love this lens. You have to get yourself an 85. It's just a beautiful look.
I like using the 85 for couples portraits. The look is just beautiful with that lens, and we have more time to play around during couples portraits, so that's why I like using it then.
And the last lens on our list, guys, is the Sony 24-70 Zeiss. It's an f4. It's kind of like a backup lens. I prefer to use it for video because it has optical steady shot, and that makes my shots obviously nice and steady and steady. Of course, steady.
But we do like bringing it for destination weddings just as a backup. You gotta make sure you have backups, as we've said like a million times on this channel.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a nice little backup lens to have. And we do plan on getting other lenses in the near future. We haven't really needed anything recently, so we're thinking about it.
We're good with what we have now.
Yeah. Maybe like an 85 1.4, something really nice like that, but that's it. Next on our list, guys, is the Godox V1S. We carry 2 of those. We only carry a 1 battery each because honestly they last a really long time, and we honestly don't like to use flash too much. We don't really like the way that our images look with flash. So we try to avoid using flash as much as possible. And we bring the Godox X Pro S. We don't use it too often, it's just there just in case we need to use off-camera flash.
Next on our list is SD cards. We like to use the 128 gigabyte SD cards, and we use dual card slots. So we make sure that we have 12, I believe, at every wedding, and we use this case to hold them in. Make sure you have a really good case for your memory cards because it's super important to keep them safe.
Right, and the brand that we use always for our cards is SanDisk, just if you guys wanted to know if you were curious. They've always been reliable. We have about 1 to 1.5 terabytes worth of storage. That is more than enough for a wedding, and I feel good about having that much. Next on our list is batteries. We carry about 10 Sony A7 III batteries. Don't hold it against me, I kind of forgot the name of the batteries, but we like to have at least 10. Minimum of 9 is what I'll have on me. If we're doing a really long wedding, we'll go through about, I want to say 4 or 5 of them. For a shorter wedding, maybe like 3. So it's just good to have at least double of what you would normally need for a wedding.
Well, honestly, they're really good. They don't run out too fast.
Yeah, they're great batteries. They last a long time. The A7 II that we used to have, the batteries didn't last very long, but the A7 IIIs, they're great.
But yeah, always make sure you have extra with you, more than you think that you need.
Oh, and
Super important.
and one more thing, sorry. Don't be scared to buy aftermarket ones. We have Wasabi ones, and they've worked fine for over a year.
So next on our list is something that I wear at every single wedding, and it's a Koiro harness. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I found it on Amazon, and it's pretty inexpensive compared to the harnesses I've found out there, which can be pretty pricey. And it works great. My hair doesn't get stuck in it or anything. I carry my 2 cameras on there.
And it's great, guys, because she gets to have 2 different focal lengths. She gets to have 2 zoom lenses. She gets to have 28 to 75, and also the 70 to 180, which is perfect for ceremonies.
Yeah, so the reason I carry 2 cameras and he carries 1 is because I'm the main photographer when we do photography. So when we're doing destination wedding photography, I'm the main, and he's the second. When we do video, we swap. He's the main and I'm the second.
Next item on our list, guys, is just a cloth, just a lens cloth, just to clean your lenses. Don't use anything but a lens cloth to clean your lenses. It can damage them permanently. So I always recommend you have a nice little lens cloth in there at all times. And the other item that I was gonna mention next is also a blower, like just a little manual blower. You'll see it in the B-roll. Those are great to have too, to get dust out. And if you have some Q-tips on you as well, that's also a good idea, because it has happened to us before in the past where I've gotten debris in my sensor and I didn't notice, and I needed to get it out ASAP. And the way to get it out normally is with a good Q-tip.
The last thing we make sure to bring, especially for destination weddings, is a laptop and an external hard drive. It's super important that once you get back from the wedding that you back up all those photos immediately. We do it at the end of every wedding we shoot, and especially destination weddings. And then a little trick we like to do also with destination weddings is we keep the memory cards separate from the hard drive. So like Pete will be carrying the memory cards and I'll be carrying the hard drive, so that if something gets lost on the way back home or something gets stolen, at least we have it in 2 separate areas, so we're not losing those pictures.
All right. As well, too, guys, remember that if you're gonna have an external hard drive, try to buy yourself a solid state drive. I know they're a little expensive, but they're absolutely worth it, because your standard hard drives tend to break easily with too much motion and movement. So I would definitely invest in a good solid state drive if you're gonna be traveling a lot.
The last thing we wanted to talk about were just a few travel tips. We were travel bloggers before this, so we're pretty used to traveling with all of our equipment, but we travel with way more equipment now that we're doing wedding photography. And we've learned a few tips along the way. You cannot bring your batteries, you cannot check your batteries. So make sure to always carry on the lithium batteries. And also, we would just never check any of our equipment anyway. We always make sure to carry on all of our equipment. If you are gonna check anything, check your clothes, check things that aren't important. Make sure to carry on all the equipment, your laptop, memory cards, all of that stuff. Make sure it's with you at all times.
Yeah, your job is priority. You don't want to get your equipment stuck in an airport or wherever.
I don't know how many times we've had our check bags get lost. So you don't want that to happen to you the day before a wedding.
That's another tip too. Try to fly in a day earlier if you can. I know it's going to be a little more expensive because you have to spend money on booking and, lodging and food. But it's like a safety precaution, really.
Yeah, especially this year, almost every single one of our flights for our destination weddings was changed about a week before. They weren't big changes. It was only like, 12 hours difference or something like that, which is kind of a big change. But make sure that you're getting there with enough time to account for any kind of changes that may happen with the airline or anything like that.
Yeah, so have like a little bit of a contingency plan if you can.
We always try to get there a day before. And then it also gives you some time to explore if you've never been to that place before, which is what we like to do the day before. We just got back from a wedding in Wisconsin. that was beautiful. And that's kind of what gave us the idea to film this video. So all the B-roll you see was actually before our trip. It was such a beautiful wedding with a beautiful couple. We'll put up some pictures here for you now. It was freezing. So I guess that's another tip. Make sure to dress accordingly.
Yeah.
Make sure, because you wouldn't think it would be freezing in Wisconsin in May, but it was. Everyone was telling us it was 80 degrees the week before, and then the week we were there it was in the 40s. So make sure to check the weather, all of that. Another good thing to look at is if it's gonna rain or something like that, you'll have to purchase umbrellas over there before the wedding. So make sure you're prepared no matter what. We had a wedding in Colorado where it snowed on us, which was absolutely amazing. But we're from Miami, we're not really used to the snow. We don't really have too much cold weather gear. So the boots I wore were 10 years old. And after the first look was like out in the snow. My shoes got soaking wet and then broke. And I had to ask the DJ for black tape to tape my shoes back up. Everyone kept looking at my shoes all night. So yeah, don't do what I did. Make sure you come prepared with clothes that work for your day so you can do your job and deliver beautiful images. I mean, I still did my job, but like, it was kind of a hassle that my shoes were coming off the entire night.
Yeah, and my boots were kind of old too, and they weren't really like snow boots. Okay. So I ended up stepping like on a rock or something, and I had a hole in my shoe, so I started getting like cold water in my feet as well. Yeah. So we both kind of had malfunctions that day.
When you put two Miami people in the snow. Pete also had his pants rip on him at a wedding.
Unfortunately.
He bent down and his pants just ripped right down the back.
Yeah. Luckily, another videographer was there and he tried to like help me out and give me a pair of pants, but they were like a little too big. And Michelle luckily is the one who had, what was it, a safety pin?
I had a safety pin from a veil from a wedding we did the weekend before. The bride had like handed me the veil and I took the safety pin out and put it in my fanny pack.
Yeah, so she hooked me up and I had to kind of like walk funny the rest of the night because they were so tight pants afterwards.
Yeah, and then that videographer actually that tried to give him the pants told us that he always brings an extra pair of pants because he actually ripped his pants at a wedding too. So
smart.
Bring extra pants.
Yeah,
make sure you're prepared. Bring shoes that actually work and that you haven't worn for the last time 10 years ago. Another thing I always bring with me on every wedding that I just recently started doing is a fanny pack. I used to just have like a side bag, but a fanny pack is so much more convenient. It's just right there and you can have like your batteries, your hand sanitizer, extra SD cards. You have everything right there in the fanny pack, just ready to go. Another safety tip is to make sure that your hotel is in a good area. Even if another hotel may be cheaper and it's in a bad area, don't stay there because you're holding so much equipment. You don't want anyone to see that you're holding so much money in equipment and try to rob you or something because you're in a worse neighborhood or you're not staying at a nice hotel. We don't stay in the nicest hotels, but I also do make sure to research the area and make sure that the hotel has really good reviews too.
Yeah, and if you're ever like in a shady area, just make sure you hide all your stuff. I remember one of our weddings that we did it in like downtown like what was it, West Palm Beach I think it was?
Yeah, West Palm Beach.
And there was a lot of shady people walking around and I had my camera on my gimbal and they were all like looking at it like crazy. So yeah, you just have to be careful, be vigilant. Luckily for me, I'm a big dude, so they don't really think twice about approaching me. But especially if you're a smaller, if you're a girl, if you're a female, and you're by yourself, I would definitely be very, very careful. And I always tell Michelle to carry a little bit of mace on her or something, always.
Yeah, so you can't obviously travel with mace, or like Pete always brings a pocket knife with him wherever you go, which not only is good for safety, but also comes in handy a lot of the time. Yeah, he uses his pocket knife like all the time at weddings just for something or another. But you can bring it, if you're bringing a checked bag, you can put it in your checked bag. And yeah, especially if you're a woman, you should always maybe even bring an assistant with you. Not only is it just more fun to have an assistant with you, but it's safer to be in pairs. You are traveling with a lot of equipment, and you got to make sure that you are safe, that you're aware of everything around you. Throughout our travels, when we were travel bloggers, we went to a lot of like sketchy areas, and we always did have our equipment. We had our drone, we had our cameras. So one thing we did, we never dressed flashy whenever we were traveling, like especially in other countries. Try not to put too much attention on ourselves, and we tried to put our equipment away in backpacks or something so people didn't see it, that we had it on us. So that's another way to stay safe, especially if you're traveling out of the country or you're traveling somewhere, like where we were downtown, anywhere like that.
Right, and when you're in a new place, don't get like tunnel vision, don't get excited about being in the new place. Really pay attention to your surroundings. It's good to have situational awareness, especially in new places, because that's normally the way to prevent something from happening is by having good situational awareness and getting yourself out of a place quickly, or just getting out of a situation in general.
Another thing I would recommend for travel is to rent a car. So we did one destination wedding because it was in New York. We didn't rent a car. But then that meant we had to travel in an Uber with all of our equipment. It was kind of a hassle, and then we had to like walk or take the subway back. It was like either we take a subway or we get an Uber. The Uber was really expensive. I don't know. We've rented cars in Wisconsin and Colorado, and it was just so much easier. You can just put all of your equipment in your back seat. It's so much easier. So if you have to check out early in the morning, but then your flight isn't at night, which has happened to us before, and you want to be doing things throughout the day. We actually did that in Wisconsin. We checked out at like 11, but we had a couple shoot in the afternoon, and our flight was until like 7 p.m. That's another time that you should separate your SD cards from your hard drive. You even put them in 3 separate areas.
Right.
So what we did there is we left all the equipment in the car that we weren't using for the couples shoot, and we left, I think, the hard drive in the car. And then I held on to half the SD cards, and Pete held on to the other half of the SD cards, just so in case one of them went missing or 2 of them went missing, it was in 3 separate areas. And that all of that, their wedding pictures were safe and sound. So specializing in destination weddings and elopements is a lot more work than just like doing weddings in your hometown. There's more things to think about, more things to pack. It's also exhausting. Like traveling is fun, but it is exhausting, especially if you're going to other time zones. Flights can be like in the middle of the night. You have to book flights. It's a lot more work, but it's totally worth it if you're as obsessed with traveling as we are. We absolutely love being able to capture love stories in a beautiful place that we've never been to, or just any beautiful place. It is our dream job, and we're so fortunate to be able to travel and meet such incredible couples and capture their wedding days.
Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, give us some tips. We'd love to hear about them.
See you next time, guys. Bye.